Hi, hello, thanks for joining me. It's Pip here from queenpipcards.com. Today I am showing you how to colour people. And I thought the easiest people to work with are the new stamps called A Good Man from the new catalogue. This is available now to purchase. And it has some beautiful images and some fantastic wording all about men, which is great because men's cards are really hard to do, aren't they? And we always need cards for men. So these are two of the cards that we, or at least this is a card we did at launch. This was a card that, or was it the other way around? I can't remember. It was only last weekend, who knows? But yes, these were from my launch event. In the afternoon we did something, a class that I called All Aboard, and we used all of the nautical stuff from the Sail Away set, but we also made some cards using a Good Man, because it was all about cards for men for the whole afternoon. So here's a couple. Now this shows you one with blends and one with watercolor pencils, so I'm going to do the same again and show you how I got the skin tones on these. Blends, it's easier. Watercolor markers, watercolor pencils, not quite so easy, but it is simple once you know how. So I'm going to do that. Here's some more with the man in the chair. He's got quite a lot of skin tone showing, so we'll do this one I think, and then we'll do this one because again we've got arms showing, etc. Although yeah, well, we have quite a lot of bits showing here too, so we might do one or other of those. Anyway, we're gonna play with these. So these are two blends. This one again is watercolor pencil, and you can mix and match the two together. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I have my stamp set here, and I have some pieces of cardstock that I'm going to use to stamp on, just so that we can give you an idea of how to use all the different types of stamps really, and the inks and how they work well together. So we're going to use StazOn for those that we're going to colour with watercolour pencils, and we're going to use Memento for those that we're going to use blends with. Okay, this is a water-based ink, so alcohol markers go with water-based ink, and this is an alcohol-based, solvent-based ink, so water-based ink goes best with that. So that's the way to work it. Opposites in this case attract. Okay, so that's what you want. Water with alcohol, water with alcohol. Simple as that. Okay, although I know a lot of people will say don't put any water with my alcohol, but anyway, there we go. I've brought over my little storage here, which is coming soon with the blends in, just because it helps me have them here. But they're not available yet, but they're coming soon, so that's good. Right, so let's start off with the blends, and then we can move those out of the way and we can see how simple they are to do. So I'm going to use the man, oh, if I can get him out of my pack. I'm going to use the man sitting on a deck chair because I do love that image, and we're going to change up the colours a little bit from what I did at my launch event. Okay, so make sure he's nice and firmly down. Then we'll grab some Memento ink and we'll pop him down on here. And you know, you could put him on a square piece and just leave him on a square piece, or you can cut him out afterwards. It's entirely up to you. There we go. So that's that. Put him away there. Then we need to just clean that Memento ink off. Now I'm going to stamp him with StazOn. Get that nice and firm. Oh, I can smell almonds. I love the smell. Marzipan, it always reminds me of when I open my StazOn pack. It's lovely. Don't recommend that you sniff it. Oops. Okay. So don't do that. Especially not with StazOn, because that's going to stain unless you clean it off. I'm going to cut him out, so that's okay. Yeah, don't drop your stamp again. Here we go. So that's my good job. I've dropped him actually, because now I know that's my StazOn and that's my Memento. You can tell StazOn is slightly crisper and darker than the Memento, but that's okay. So let's do the memento first. That's what I said. So this is my colour lifter, in case you were wondering why it's white. That just takes things off. But we're going to make him a nice happy chappy sitting. I'm going to make him using this is the bronze. Okay, so this is the bronze marker. And I'm just going to use this for his arms and legs, and then what we'll do is we'll come in afterwards. So the best way I've found to do skin tone, he's obviously relaxing on a nice beach somewhere, and the best way I've found to do darker skin tone is to just go over with a whole covering. Okay, and I do my bullet end mostly as a circular kind of motion, but you can do sort of overly circles as you go up the legs so that you cover a bit more. There we go. So the first thing you do is just cover it like that. Okay, then you're going to go back in and do some more definition. So you're going to have more definition around the creases in his legs, okay, and around the bottom of his feet that are in shadow here, and probably under here, okay, because the sun can't get to that. And you might even have a little definition underneath the knee. Okay, it depends on where the sun's going really, but I generally put a little bit of definition around there, as I say, in the calf, around the edge where the shadow is going to lie. All right, and that immediately starts to add in some definition to his legs. Again, definition dark around the arms, always darker on the elbows. Okay, we're all darker on the elbows no matter what colour skin we have. There we go. It's just a thing, it's just an elbow thing. You could make him have, you know, like bulging muscles and stuff if you wanted to make it. It's going to be darker under his hat, darker under his chin, because that's always darker where there's a shadow, and just down the back end of his neck there. And that just gives you, if you can see, hopefully you can see that, that just gives you a bit of nice definition on his legs. And you can go in, you can do a little bit more if you think actually that's not been enough. I need to go in and do some more. Just be careful, because the more you add, obviously, you know, the darker it's going to go. And this holds true with all of the skin tones. It's better to be light-handed and then go back in afterwards to add. And if you think, oh, that's looking a bit blotchy now, then you can go back in and cover the whole thing all over again. And that will darken him up even more. So it's up to you how you feel with that. I'm okay, I like some light spots to go on. Okay, so that's the skin tones there with the dark. Then I'm actually going to stamp him again and do him with the light. And that way you can see the difference. So we've got the bronze. So they've given us two in the range that are not technically colours. So there's not a light and a dark. In all of the other colours you get a light and a dark stamp. No, pen. That's what I'm trying to say. You get a light and a dark pen. So for example, you get a dark old olive and you get a light old olive. But there are two pens which they've just brought in separately, which are the bronze and the ivory. Okay, so for a Caucasian male, I would do the ivory. Okay, and again, just all over. And then it depends on whether you want to give this guy a tan or not, as to whether you bring in any of the other colours. Okay, so nice pasty white legs for us. There we go, like that. And then again, you go in and you go on the elbows, in the just wherever the shadow is going to go. But if you wanted to give this guy a tan, which, you know, you might do because he's out sunbathing, so why not? Then I would do all the normal stuff, so around the knees, around the calves on both sides, down their feet. And then you could go in with something like a light crumb cake. Okay, you could just add a little bit of tan in there, just on, say, the top of his arms. And what that's going to do, just literally almost dotting it, it's just going to make it a little bit darker. Okay, so you could make him have just a little bit darker legs. And I do dots because then when you go back in with your, it looks a bit dirty at the moment, but then when you go back in with your ivory, you can sort of smooth all those out, and then they don't look quite so. You have to let this dry a little bit really to get a good idea of how that colour's coming. But he does look a little bit more sort of tanned by the end of this. There we go. And you haven't really lost anything from your original colour, if you see what I mean. So you've still got that highlight going on because you've just gone over where you've highlighted before as well, so that's still there. But if you want to put some more in, you can go back into his arms, a bit of shadow under his neck, but that just adds a little bit of tanning. And you know, if he's obviously if he's been on the spray tan, then you could go a little bit more orange with it. But that's kind of the normal colouring tones that I would use. So you're going to need a bronzer and you're going to need a ivory. And then when it's dry, and you have to wait until it's dry to do this, I found, if you want to go in and lift anything to give a little bit more accent, a little bit more of lighting to the knees, etc., then you'd go in with your colour lifter. Okay, so we'll wait for those to dry while I do the others, and then we might go back in and do a bit of that. Now, when it comes to doing people with watercolour pencils, it's a bit more difficult because we don't have an ivory in our colour range. But what we do have is a Calypso Coral, a Whisper White, and in the new set that's back again, we have a Flirty Flamingo, which I know sounds really daft, but actually those three colours together make a nice skin tone. So I would start exceptionally light, just with a bit of Calypso Coral. And I'm literally almost just brushing the surface with my Calypso Coral. Okay, because there's nothing worse than an orange person, unless they've obviously been, you know, unless they're in Strictly or something, and then orange is acceptable colour. You just want to give them a little bit of tone. What you don't want to do is have them left with white legs. I mean, this looks more like me than I'm very white, pale skin, burn easily. You know, you could easily give this person sunburn by putting a bit of red in there. But it's a very, very light. I don't even know if you can see that on camera. Hopefully you can. But it's a really, really light Calypso Coral. Hopefully you can see a little bit of that. It's very, very light. And then I go in with a bit of Flirty Flamingo just in the shadowy bits, elbows, again really lightly along the elbow line and the crease there, underneath here. This is sort of my darkening colour, even though it's pink, it's to darken it really. And then I will go back in with my white and I'll start to just blend that together. Now this looks really odd because you can't actually see what you're doing here. It's just, you're just having blind faith that you're putting white down on here. Okay. Then I'll go back in a smidge more with a little bit more Calypso Coral over the top of that. And the white gives you a surface to move on. It's almost a waxy surface that you can move on. And then I get my blender pen and then I'll start blending all of this together. And hopefully moving enough of the ink around so it then becomes a skin tone. How are we doing there? Like so. you can see that this is it's just moving the pencil around just enough to just lighten him up and give him a bit of colouring. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. So they are my 3 colours that I use all the time for skin tones, for Caucasian males, and then for pencils, and then it's the ivory and crumb cake for blends. Now for African American or Afro-Caribbean, I would use an early espresso, okay, in pencil. I don't have another one. Again, you have to be very careful with this. You don't want to go too dark and make it look silly. So just again, gently with your pencil and get that colour going. But I love the fact that we have the opportunity to do multiracial colouring. It's great. So those are the ones that I would use for that. And then I'd mix and match the colours for the shirts and hats and anything else. So I'm going to colour these up and then I'll make them into cards. I'm going to use some green for this guy. I think we'll have a nice bright or dark green t-shirt, and again I put my dark on first, going along the lines of the creases in where he would naturally be darker. Okay, in terms of the light. Oh, giving him green top and green shorts. Never mind. I was going to give him red shorts, but that's okay. He's got green all over now. He's matching. And then go back over with the Old Olive light. Circular motions with this. And notice I'm not really using any of my wide tips at this point. These images are too small for me to use the wide tips on the brush ends. I prefer to use the bullet tips for small images because it gives me more control. There we go. We start to blend him in, and then he just has some natural dark and light highlights. Okay, so I mean literally how quick is that to do that? And then I can do this guy in red, I think. This is Poppy Parade. So again, we'll go in with the dark. This time I am going to try and remember to do different coloured shorts. So we'll just follow the lines that Stampin' Up have already given you, but also where you know it's going to be darker, yeah, around where the shadows fall. And then lighter Poppy Parade, just to blend in those dark pieces. And the more you colour in, the more you squiggle, the more they blend. Don't do his short line around his knees because that's going to be where his shorts are. And we're going to make him have blue shorts, I think. Very traditional, red and blue. Let's do that. There we go. So we're going to give him some Night of Navy shorts. So this is the short line here, going around the knee, and then across here, dark, dark across here, and then light again. Oh. You know, you really need to make sure that you keep your lids on your pens because otherwise they will dry out. So there we go, that's that. And then, what do we think? I think maybe a blue hat just to match, because he would be matching, wouldn't he? I think he's a sort of a suave person. Now, the other trick I will show you is that it's a really good idea to use your Pool Party light or your Smoky Slate light. Either of these will do, to just go around your image, add some grounding to it, but it also just makes the image pop out. It's something to do with your eyes and the fact that they like borders around things. So if you just take a really light border just gently around the edge of your images, it will make them stand out just that little bit more. I'm going to obviously have to colour his hat in a bit. Haven't decided what colour he's going to have a hat. But yeah, come just up here. There you go. and that just makes the image stand out from the page. So you can do it in light smoky slate or light pool party. Either one you have, it will work to just make the image pop a little bit. It's very strange, but it does actually, it's very true. So it just adds a couple of seconds more to your image, you know, obviously putting this round, but then you don't even have to do another, you know, you don't have to give him a background or anything, because that will just, it just lifts him. Now I actually prefer the pool party, but the smoky slate's okay too. So it's a tiny little amount, but it just lifts the image up off the page. And if you're doing it with watercolours, then in the new range of colours, you've got a balmy blue, and that works just as well. So it doesn't look like balmy blue at the end, but it is, and that will just lift. Again, make sure you have a soft end. Make sure your end is nice and rounded, and then that will just give you a nice soft edging to him. So there you go, that's how you colour people. Hopefully you've enjoyed my colouring people tutorial today, and that you'll get some colouring in. I have a new blends club starting this month, so if you want to join in with the joy of blends, then you can do. It's £20 if you're local, £20 plus shipping if you're not, and you will get a set of blends, and you will, or a couple of sets of blends depending on what I'm doing that month, and then some materials to make 2 exclusive cards that are only available and will only be available to my blends club. So if you want to join, you don't have to join for a minimum period. You can come and go as much as you like, but if you want to do more with your blends, build your blends collection, and 1 month we'll have some storage as part of the kit, so you can build your blends collection and get some storage to match with them. So if you'd like to join that, then please drop me a note and let me know. I'll have a link up for people so that they can tell me they're interested in blends, and then you can get some exclusive projects, get some helpful tips and tricks, and yeah, just enjoy building your blends collection. So let me know about that. Hope you've enjoyed today. Come back soon for some more colouring and card making and all the wonderful things that we have from Stampin' Up. So thanks ever so much for watching today. You take care now. All the details are in the description below. Thank you. Bye bye.